blessings, name them one by one.
Count your blessings one by one and you will be surprised what the Lord has done for you. This is a familiar song that I bet you may have heard over and again. But do we ever take time to do this really? Are we ever thankful that we are alive? That our mothers nurtured us and let us live? Faith Ndungu, the director of Happy Life Children's Home, was thankful enough that God had given her and her husband a second chance in life. This thankful heart marked the beginning of Happy Life Children's Home, a charitable organization that rescues, saves, and gives hope to abandoned babies.
I'm in a second marriage because both I and my husband lost our first spouses through death. That was in 1998, and then God brought us together in an interesting way, and we got married. By then I had my 2 children, and I think one of the desires that we had for just the second chance that God gave us, we had this desire that we want to give back to ministry.
There are many ways in which we can show our gratitude, but what did this couple discover in their decision to take care of abandoned children?
His brother, Pastor Steve Kamau, who is in the US right now, before he left, one day he found a baby abandoned at the top of his car's bonnet. That was in Thika Town. And so I think he carried that burden with him. He didn't even share that with us then. But while he was in the US, he started talking about the need to start an abandoned babies center. And he actually wanted it started in Thika because according to him, that's where the problem was. And so when we started talking about it between him and us and another friend who he had come to know called Pastor Jim Powell in the US, because it became apparent that we were the people who would actually carry this work forward. And so that is how Happy Life was actually born. In 2000, we started talking about it in 2001, and then by 2002, it actually became a reality.
It all began with only 3 kids, but today more than 200 children have passed through the home.
We actually got twin boys that were in a paper bag. They were collected by street children at Kamukoji area in a paper bag and taken to the Central Police Station. And then there was one girl, I think, who had been abandoned at a salon somewhere in Nairobi, and through the police, those are the 3 children that we started with.
There are diverse reasons that can lead to a mother abandoning her baby, with poverty being a primary cause. Persons in cultures with poor social welfare systems who are not financially capable of taking care of a child are more likely to abandon it. However, just as I can't comprehend, Faith still can't tell whatever situation, however grave, can lead someone to abandon a child.
As a mother myself, I wouldn't understand why a mother would throw away a baby. And maybe we'll never know, because it could be poverty, it could be because of HIV, it could be different things. I really don't know. And I think it's a very good feeling that the baby is no longer abandoned when they come into our hands. We know those children would either have grown up and end up in the streets, they would either have died, or even gotten into the wrong hands. We know there are people out there that are evil that would do even trade with children. We know those things happen. And so it's a good feeling when we rescue a baby, but it's also overwhelming. Every time I hold a baby here at the home, the question is, why? Why did a mother throw away this baby? Would I be able to meet such a mother and be able to say, please explain to me, what would draw you to throw your baby away?
Today, abandoning a child is considered to be a serious offense. As a result, mothers who abandon their children do it in secret, and therefore it is in most cases difficult to establish the origin or history of an abandoned child.
We get children from the hospitals, mainly like Kenyatta National Hospital, Thika District Hospital, and other hospitals. We get babies that have been left at dump sites, babies that were thrown into the gullies. Some are collected by well-wishers who go to the police or to the children's department and they find their way to Happy Life. We've had babies thrown away in the ratlins, and sometimes we've also gotten babies from some of the government institutions, the children's home like Nairobi Children's Home and Mama Gina, and others like those that have very high populations and find it difficult maybe to be able to take care of the very small ones.
This is just one of the challenges that the home faces in the course of making a better life for these children, as Faith explains.
We've had children that have had major illnesses, even disabilities, and we have taken care as much as we can until maybe at a certain age when we think there are other institutions that are able to take care of certain disabilities, we agree with them and take such children there. And I think those have only been like 2 cases where we have actually transferred a child to an institution that takes care of maybe the kind of condition they are in. Otherwise, we take care of these children. We have to take them to the hospital. There are many times our mothers have been at the hospital, at Kenyatta or other hospitals around with the children, sometimes for a week or more than a week. The other thing is that because we take care of very, very young babies from day one, we have to give them milk that will substitute a mother's milk. So we have to buy naan, or at least an equivalent of naan. That is expensive. And of course, it's been hard. There are times we've lost babies. There are babies that have come, and whatever you do and whatever medical care you take, they don't make it. So it's a very hard task. The mothers that work here go through a very difficult time because they've taken care of a baby and finally the baby dies. So that's really difficult. But we keep moving on because the ones we are saving are more than the ones we are losing.
More so, even in situations where the home has extended a helping hand to government institutions in easing their burdens, the government has never reciprocated such good turn with another to the home.
Even though I can say we have actually contributed a lot to the government of Kenya. We have eased the government institutions. We have removed a problem that would be a bigger problem in the country because this would be children that would either be in those government homes, and that means a greater burden to the government. They would be children that would grow up and go into the streets. If they were in the government hospitals, it means maybe they would have to take care of them. So, but even though we do all that, maybe there is no mechanism, I don't know, but the government does not support us. You will be surprised that even when we take the children to the government hospitals, we still have to pay. If a baby maybe doesn't make it, and they have to bury, we have to pay the mortuary fees and the disposal fees and all of that. And so we get our funding from well-wishers.
From the outside, the situation can seem grim, depressing and overwhelming. However, there is no giving up in happy life, as watching the children move from one level of their lives to a better one is a life-changing experience that gives Faith a reason to soldier on.
Every time when we see babies and I always like to say that when they're here, they are no longer abandoned. They're actually rescued because they have family, they have us. And just seeing those babies come when they have all the conditions they have, and then they thrive, they become healthy babies. And one day we see a family here take the baby and go with them as their own. I think that keeps us going every day. When you walk around here and hold those babies, your life is transformed completely. You can no longer turn back and say, I can't go on.
Without faith, you can do nothing. We cannot just sit and start thinking, oh, this is hard, it cannot be done. It can be done because we trust in God, and God touches his people, and people have been very gracious to support what we are doing. We thank God for people, for churches, and those who have been able to help us, and even our own church, Overcoming Faith Church. They have been very, very supportive.
Happy Life Children's Home is committed to connect the children with individuals and families for a lasting family relationship through legal adoption. Since the beginning, more than 25 abandoned children have been adopted into forever families, both locally and internationally.
Our vision is to actually connect these children with families that can adopt them and make them and bring them up as their own children. It is not really an orphanage, as it were, because our hope is that these children can get into families. The first kids are now 8 years old. Those twin boys were adopted by a lady in the US, and they are in Delaware. We actually were able to see them this May when we visit the US. Very handsome boys. I can't tell one from the other.
The home has also provided job opportunities to lots of people within the surrounding environs, especially the mothers who take care of the children.
There are many mothers that we've been able to give employment, and we are grateful to God for that because we are making a difference in their lives. I can still remember some of them when they were coming to get employment, and the way I see them today, a great improvement in their lives, in their own households, because they have been able to get employment here. We also have other people that come to volunteer. We have students from USIU and other colleges around. We have people that come from the US, Australia, and other countries. They just come in and volunteer. Some will stay with us for a few days, others will stay with us for a number of months and come and volunteer, and we are really grateful for that.
Life can sometimes take a turn to be a bed of thistles that you never expected. However, a baby is a gift from God and has a right to live.
Please don't throw the baby away, because there are many places that the baby can be taken care of. I would rather they go to a hospital, especially the general hospitals where they don't really have to pay much. Leave the baby there, because then that baby is in safe hands. That baby will get to us or to other homes so that the baby doesn't die. And I believe also maybe even before they get to that point, they need to seek help, because there is help out there for people who are going through crisis. There is help. So they don't need to throw the baby into the bushes and leave them to die and leave them to be eaten by dogs. That's a life, you know, and life is precious in God's eyes, and He will be able to take care of that baby. I would ask the mothers, do not throw away those babies.
Watching the smiling faces of these children, it is clear that even though they don't realize what may have befallen them, there is a life and a hope for them thereafter. I presume that the joy of every woman is to have a child of their own, but some kids are abandoned in one place or another. But at Happy Life Children's Home, there is hope for such kids. Josephine Wawera, GBS.
I once was lost, but now I'm found.